Welcome to The Tipping Point. Listen into this bite-sized learning series as part of the Vacation Rental Success podcast, or watch the video version on the Vacation Rental Formula Business School's YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of PriceLabs, who will help increase your revenue and occupancy with their dynamic pricing and revenue management tools. PriceLabs have just launched their 2023 breakthrough release of the next generation of revenue management. This brand new cutting-edge solution leverages hyper-local data to optimize rates and increase your revenues like never before. Visit the link in the description of this episode for more information. Get ready to fire up your business. Here's your host, Heather Bayer.
Welcome to The Tipping Point, the podcast where we delve into topics every host and manager should be paying attention to. I'm your host, Heather Bayer, and today we're talking about something every vacation rental owner needs to know: the 7 items you should never include in your vacation rental. Let's dive in. So I've owned over the years 7 vacation rentals, and I managed up to 180 for nearly 20 years. And I made a lot of mistakes, both in my own properties and in some of the properties we took on board to manage. Some of those mistakes were painful and costly to learn from. So what I'm talking about today stems from a lot of experience. So here are the top 7 items I would never have in a rental property. First up is glass top tables, and this applies both inside and outside. So patio tables, coffee tables, and even dining tables. They might look great, but they are a safety hazard. Picture this for a moment. A family with young children stays at your rental property. They've got a 2-year-old. Mom steps in the kitchen just for a moment, and the child picks up a toy, bashes it on the table, and it then shatters. Not only is this a safety nightmare, but it's also a liability issue for you as the owner. And then with the patio tables, so many patio tables have glass tops. People are outside, they've got the patio umbrella up, they go indoors for an afternoon or the evening and they forget about the umbrella, and the next thing you know, that a wind has got up, picked up the umbrella, and that shattered the table. We had so many of those things happen over the course of our time as a property manager. We had to ban glass top patio tables, so I would never ever have them in a rental again. Next up is candles. And do you know, for years I'd loved going to vacation rentals, and I would take candles and I would see candles, and it was so lovely and ambient in an evening to light a few candles, put some soft music on, and just enjoy that ambience. But nowadays, it is highly recommended that you do not have candles of any sort in a vacation rental. There was a couple who lit candles for a romantic evening. They had a few glasses of wine and then fell asleep, and they woke up to a small fire. Now, luckily, they managed to put it out, and it created very little damage, but it could have been disastrous. So you can stick to LED candles for that warm glow without the risk. Of course, you can't stop your guests bringing their own candles, but you have not supplied them, and you haven't supplied the means to light them. So, that's just one thing to think about. Thirdly, and this is something I used to have in one of my vacation rentals years ago when I was in my 20s, 30s, I loved playing darts. We'd go down to the pub and we'd have a good game of darts. So we always had a dart board at home. It's fun, right? But they're not suitable for vacation rentals. Let's just talk about walls full of holes. And you've got a group of friends who are staying at a rental. Once again, they've imbibed a few beers or glasses of wine, and they're aiming for the bullseye, and they've never played darts before, but they think this is a fun idea. So you end up with a wall full of holes, and not only does it mean repairs for you, but it also distracts from the aesthetic of your rental, because you can't always get in and fix those holes between guests. So let's forego the dartboard. Fourthly is toxic air fresheners. So many people are allergic to scents or chemicals, and trust me, they smell horrible. I'm very sensitive to smells, and Even though I used to use these things, I've got even more sensitive over time, and I would remove them. I would not have them in a home. You don't want to have people arriving and somebody having an allergic reaction to the air freshener. And it's not only uncomfortable for them, but it's a real negative mark on their stay. Number 5, maybe I should have put this at number 1, is anything of emotional or high monetary value. And that means anything that you would feel emotional about if it was damaged or broken in any way. Firstly, you risk losing items that are irreplaceable to you. A friend told me about a vintage vase that she'd left in her rental only to find it broken by guests. Now, there was a damage deposit at that time, but it didn't allow her to replace it with exactly the same one that had huge emotional value for her. So just take those things out. Have things in the properties that it would be okay to you if they got lost, damaged, broken, etc. Next is food products. In many states in the US, you cannot leave any food products at all in a vacation rental. In others, it's okay, and there's a big argument about whether this is okay or not. Leaving spices, even leaving things like sugar and tea and coffee. Make sure you check your state provincial regulations first of all, but be aware that you're posing a liability risk to yourself if you leave food, particularly if it's expired, if there's a likelihood of causing food allergies. It doesn't make for a welcoming experience, for sure, if a guest opens a fridge and finds half open bottles of ketchup and mustard and relish. And we used to do this years ago. It just doesn't happen these days. So it is best to err on the side of being user-friendly to the most people and just not having any food products at all. You can certainly make it clear to your guests what is available to them, what's going to be there and what isn't before they arrive. Number 7 is extension cords. They're a tripping hazard and they can look really unsightly. And I've seen places that have just extension cords all over the place because there aren't enough electrical outlets. A well-designed rental should have enough outlets in convenient locations. And if you haven't had them, get an electrician in to put some more in. I once tripped over an extension cord in a rental and twisted my ankle. It wasn't the vacation rental that anyone wanted. So it's easy enough to do. Consider the needs of your guests and how many things they're going to want to plug in, and make sure you've got enough outlets for them to use. So there you have it, these 7 items to avoid in your vacation rental. Keeping these out of your property can prevent accidents, liabilities, and ensure a pleasant stay, not only for your guests, but for you as well. And just remember, the goal is to create a safe, welcoming, and memorable experience for everyone who walks through your doors. So as my voice begins to disappear on me, thank you so much for tuning in to The Tipping Point this week. Join us next week when we bring you another topic and another learning experience.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Tipping Point. Don't forget to check out this week's sponsor, PriceLabs, to help you master the art of dynamic pricing for your short-term rental business. Click the link in the description of this episode for more information.